Many people think of influence as a skill that you learn. And when it comes to specific goals, there's something to be said for that. But there are other kinds of influence that happen whether you realize it or not. In fact, you're probably already influencing people you'll never even meet. Let's take a closer look at how this actually works. Across my career, one pattern keeps showing up. People skills shape long-term success. I've seen it in high-stakes technical work, leadership, business, and family life. This channel is about solving the people puzzle. You're probably already influencing people you'll never even meet. Let me show you two very different ways this can play out in real life. Imagine you're having a chat with a colleague, and they mention an idea they're interested in. You happen to have listened to a podcast on that very topic, so you pass the episode info on to them. The chat moves on in other directions, and that's the end of it. Or is it? Here's a story that actually happened to me. Once I was having a conversation with another coach. We'll call him Fred. I mentioned that I was putting together a networking workshop. Fred recommended one of his favorite books on networking, and after reading it, I agreed it was useful. Later, I'm chatting with another coach, Jim. I know Jim teaches a networking class, so I let Jim know about the networking book, figuring it might be useful for his class. My discussion with Jim ranged through a lot of topics, including thought leadership, where Jim pointed out some of his favorite resources in this area. Another day, in a conversation with Elaine, I found out she was interested in becoming more of a thought leader. I happily passed along the references Jim had provided to me. So let's look at the flow here. Fred passed along a resource he thought I could use, and I passed it along to Jim. This resulted in me getting a different resource that I passed on to Elaine. Fred has never met Jim or Elaine, but by mentioning that book, he influenced both of them through me. And keep in mind, I have no idea if Jim used my reference, if Elaine ever got into thought leadership, or if Fred ever did anything with the information about the networking workshop I was holding. This is a snapshot of the ripples. I have no idea how far they actually go. This is where networks really shine. They carry your ideas far beyond your immediate sphere of influence. And they also bring you ideas from afar. If you're the sort that just wants to bring good into the world, you might be doing that and not even know it. Information and experience are not the only kinds of influence that can travel through your network. Emotions and feelings also propagate. Let me tell you another personal story. Navy submarine officers are trained to make decisions fast and radiate utter confidence in their decisions. They don't explicitly teach you this, you just kind of pick it up. And it runs so deep, you don't even know you're doing it. Let me tell you a funny story about how this mindset backfired on me one day. My wife picked me up at the mall, and we started heading for the car. I confidently took the lead as we exited and headed toward the parking lot. My amused wife followed in behind me and said nothing, waiting to see how long it would take me to realize that I had no idea where the car was actually parked. When it dawned on me halfway across the parking lot, she laughed her ass off. In this case, I got a little egg on my face. But this is actually an important skill to have in many cases. Why? Because emotions ripple out. A calm and confident officer makes the crew calm and confident. An officer that is indecisive or agitated will throw the crew off balance with potentially fatal consequences. But this doesn't just apply to submarines. If you're in a team, even if you're not a leader, your attitudes and mood can spread to the rest of the team. If you're cynical, stressed, or indifferent, this spreads. If you're a leader, this effect is even stronger because we're wired to take our cues from the person in charge. Your teammates will in turn take these moods, good or bad, to other teams and other groups, for example, their family and friends, taking your influence beyond the team. It's worth being especially aware of this when emotions move through social media. When moods are shared via media, they can spread very far, very quickly, are easier to misinterpret, and harder to contain. Now, I'm not saying you need to police everything you say. This is about recognizing that you're already part of a network of information and mood, and what you contribute to that network doesn't stay contained. You are putting something into the system, whether you realize it or not. So ask yourself, is what you're putting out likely to prove valuable to yourself and others? This video has been a deeper dive into how influence works. In future videos, I'll explore practical ways to become more intentional about what you're putting into the system. If this appeals to you, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. In the meantime, you might want to sample another of my videos. Here's one that YouTube thinks you might like.